Hello, everybody. You have tuned in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police, Cops for Kids, the Indiana State Police Alliance, and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. We thank you for being with us this week. We thank Tom Trial for putting us on YouTube and putting us out on the video portion of the Roadshow. And we'd like to thank Rich Crawford for being with us today. Rich has been with us before, and Rich is a trooper with the Indiana State Police Executive Protection Division, but that's not usually what you wear to work, is it?
No, it's not. For the next 2 weeks, I'll be wearing this outfit.
Yeah, something different than, and we want to push this out and give information out. This is the annual Cop Cycling for Survivors bicycle ride. And we were just talking before we went on, this is 13 years, isn't it?
13 years we've been doing this, and it doesn't seem possible, but it seems like as soon as we finish up this ride, we're getting started for next year's ride. So,
yeah,
it's a great thing, though. It's a great thing.
And we're taping this a little early. This is we're taping on Friday, and Friday is kind of the kickoff for the Cop Cycling for Survivors. And what are you guys doing today to get this kicked off?
Gary Dudley started doing this little stationary ride here in front of WIBC, who he partnered with many, many, many years ago.
And he was a lieutenant with our department?
Gary was a lieutenant with the Indiana State Police and with the training division. And so we kind of keep that going and kind of Gary's memory. This is the way we now traditionally kick off the bike ride, is the Friday before we leave on the 13-day trek around the state. We come down here in front of MS Communications, WIBC, and do a stationary ride on our trainers in front of the station, and just sell T-shirts, kind of let people know who we are, and just kind of kick off the annual event. So
now, has this grown from the days of Gary starting it out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've gone from, I remember back in 2004, we had 6 of us that did the entire ride.
Wow.
And now we're up to 52 riders that are leaving on Monday morning.
And I know you and your wife, Nikki, are going to do the whole trek, and a lot of people do. But can people join in and leave at certain times?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody has to register for the ride, and but they can let us know what day they want to participate in the bike ride for the next 13 days. We often have some folks who just want to ride for one day. Some others ride 3 or 4 days. Some ride for one day and then they jump back in the ride at the end of the ride, or 2 days before the end of the ride. So we have all that flex in there for the cyclists who want to participate in this event, that they can ride as many days or all of them, if whatever they choose, whatever best fits their families.
And again, for people that may not know, Cops Cycling for Survivors, of course, it's to help the survivors of fallen officers killed in the line of duty in Indiana.
That's correct.
In Indiana. And in the 13 years, have you ever had a year where we've not had an officer killed?
No, we have not. That unfortunately, the truck that our SAG truck, the support truck that follows us around the state, for the last 13 years has always had a photo of an officer who's been killed in line of duty.
Oh, that's unfortunate, but we appreciate what you do and for these survivors. And I know a lot of the survivors show up for this event and for the send-off, which is going to be Monday morning.
That's correct.
At 8:30 here in downtown Indianapolis at the Law Enforcement Police Officers Memorial. And they come and they appreciate, I think, what you guys do. And it's good to have them fellowship with other officers, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And, we have some survivors that will come down and see us off when we leave on Monday. But also, more importantly, we have survivors that meet us around the state for the next 13 days. Every evening we have a meal set up that's sponsored by somebody in the local community wherever we're spending the night. And we invite survivors from the surrounding area. And more often than not, we have survivors that will join us for dinner. And then when they join us, we introduce them. They mingle with the cyclists. We read their respective officer down memorial page, and we pay respect to that officer and their family.
Now, the 4 officers that you're honoring specifically this year, Deputy Jacob Calvin, Officer Perry Wren, Patrolman Jeffrey Westerfield, and Patrolman Nicholas Schultz, their photos are on the side of the truck that you have going around your support truck that follows you. And we were talking before we came on too. It's interesting. You asked the family for photos that they want to represent their loved ones, and there's difference in that.
Yes, and it's starting to become a trend. All too often we've had just photos of the officers from the department, in their uniforms, which is very nice.
Yes.
But now we've been kind of asking the family, what photo do you want on the side of the truck for the next 13 days that we're going to be honoring your officer? And just like this year, we got a picture of Nick Schultz in his Purdue basketball jersey.
Yeah.
And then we got a picture of Perry Wren on his bicycle. because Lynn said he was an avid cyclist, as is Lynn.
Right.
And so it's really kind of a personal touch that they're when they send us those photos, and we're very honored to take whatever photo they want to give us of their officer. But it's kind of a neat thing that they're doing is sending those personal photos of their officers.
And I saw when I walked in this morning as we were getting ready to do our interview, our Sergeant Randy Dodd from IMPD, he was signing the truck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do that. We started that tradition about 3 years ago. So as we ride around the state, we have markers there for the folks to sign, and they can leave personal messages for the families as we move around the state. So it's kind of interesting that some of the survivors, after day 3, they can read some of the messages that were left from some of the survivors who met on day 1. And so it's either personal messages to the cyclist, thanking us for what we do, or they're personal messages that they're extending to a family that we're going to meet later on in the trip. So it's not uncharacteristic that maybe Lynn Wren might leave a message for Nick Schultz's family. So when they look at Nick's picture, when we get up to Lowell, they can say, oh, look, Lynn Wren wrote a message here to us, thanking us for, our son's service. So it's really, people just sit there and they just read the side of the truck. And by the end of day 13, both sides of the truck are just covered with signatures. And it's really interesting to sit back and just kind of look at all the names and the messages that were left behind by some of the folks.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, again, you've turned into the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. I'm speaking with Trooper Rich Crawford from the Indiana State Police Executive Protection Division, but we're talking about the upcoming 13th annual Cops Cycling for Survivors bicycle ride that's going to be leaving here in Indianapolis on Monday, July 13th. Rich, we were talking, this is kind of unique this year. You said you got some guys or gals with cameras this year.
Yes, we have some folks that will be riding with the GoPros. And we had one last year that rode with the GoPro. And so now we've got a couple more folks that are using that technology. And so what they're doing is they're taking that footage and putting it on our Facebook page. So folks can actually see us out there. If they go to our Facebook page and want to see what's going on out there on the bike ride, they can go there and actually see actual footage of what's going on the ride.
Now, for more information, do you have a website and a Facebook page people can go to?
Yes, that's correct. They can visit our website and learn more about the organization. And if they choose to donate, they can also donate to our organization and our cause. It's copcyclingforsurvivors.org.
And that's a number 4, correct?
That's a number 4. That's correct. And they can also visit our Facebook page. Okay. And we will keep daily postings on our Facebook page of what's going on the ride for the next 13 days.
Which trek are you taking through Indiana this year? I know you take different treks every year.
Yeah, this year we've altered it just a little bit from what we normally ride because our ride is set by where we've lost an officer in the state in a respective region of the state.
Correct.
This year we'll be leaving Indianapolis and going up to Tipton. And obviously Jacob Calvin will be honoring their officer up there in Tipton. Then we'll make our way over to Bluffton and on up the east side of the state. And across the top, there we'll be paying our respects to the Gary officer, Officer Westerfield, and then down to Maryville for Nick Schultz. And then obviously Perry Wren here in Indianapolis when we start out in Indianapolis, and we'll finish in Indianapolis on the 25th at Crown Hill Cemetery.
Do you, is each place that you stop for an officer that's been killed in line of duty, is that the same type of ceremony you have there, or different ceremonies, or how does that?
It's pretty much the same ceremony we have around the state, but I think there's more participation, obviously, from the respective community.
Correct.
Like we want to stop in Lowell.
Right.
There'll be a lot of some of high school buddies and stuff like that will come there for Nick, and same thing up in Gary, and obviously tomorrow Monday for Perry. And then up in Tipton County. So we'll have a larger gathering up there. But when we stop in Fort Wayne and pay our respects to those officers who lost their lives in line of duty many years ago, yes, we'll still have some of those families that will still show up there, and we'll read their officer ODMP pages and pay our respects and have a moment of silence for those officers. But as far as the turnout, probably it'll probably be a little bit larger at those respective communities that have had an affected officer that have lost their lives in line of duty.
Talk a little bit about your money raised. What does it go to? What does the Cops Cycling for Survivors do?
For many different, and it's all posted on our website. Folks, we're very transparent, so folks can visit our website and see exactly where all the money that we raise is going. We offer assistance to any survivor in the state of Indiana that's lost, that needs assistance financially. They can come to us and we'll help them out. But we also support many foundations around the state, and those are all listed on our website. Just to mention a few, Gary's Ride, Jake Laird Foundation. So a lot of foundations have been started by surviving family members in honor of their respective officer who lost their life in line of duty. We support those organizations too. Mm-hmm. So there's probably at least 24 organizations around the state that Cop Cycling Survivors funds and helps fund every year with the money that we raise on the bike ride.
That's fantastic. Now, is there an age limit for riding?
There is. Okay. As far as liability, you have to be 18, or if you're between 15 and 18, you have to have your guardian with you. In other words, they have to be pedaling too. But 18 is the youngest that we can take. But as far as age on the other end of the spectrum, we have some cyclists that are in their mid-60s, and we have one gentleman that's a grandfather, I think in probably late 60s, early 70s, that's going to be participating in the ride this year. So it's pretty. We have, I think the average age of our group last year was mid-40s. And you would think that was kind of odd, but that's the way that it folds out. So we don't have a whole lot of young kids riding with us, but again, the age limit is 18, and the top end is whatever.
Can folks register right up till the time of the event?
No, that we have cutoff on registration. I think it was set at June 15th this year. Because we have to get our numbers out to our sponsors and our hotels as far as rooms, and so we have to get that registration cut off at a certain time, and then the fundraising has to stop with the cyclists. They have to raise so much money to participate in the bike ride. That stops on July 1st.
Okay. So, excuse me. When you guys start Monday, this is going to be a rain, snow, sleet.
Rain or shine, we ride in the rain as long as it's not severe weather where we have threat of lightning or high winds or something like that. We'll ride in the rain. And so Monday morning, if it's not lightning, if it's raining, we're going to get on our bikes and go.
Do you have a lot of folks turn out and watch you go by?
Oh, yes. I mean, as we go through Indianapolis, again, this is our 13th year we've been doing this, so a lot of folks know who we are now. And they'll come out of the stores or come out of the businesses and wave at us as we go. And people will honk their horns as we're going through intersections, not in a nasty way, but in a very supportive way. And so it's pretty exciting for the cyclists to see the support as we make our way around the state.
I can imagine, and all that what you're doing it for is great, and I'm sure that the survivors appreciate it and love to be involved with this. And again, let's go over your website location and where people can find out more information on this.
It's copcyclingforsurvivors.org is our website. And then they can also visit our Facebook page.
And then the last day that you come back into town is going to be Saturday, July 25th, and you're going to have a closing ceremony?
That's correct, at 2:30 at Crown Hill Cemetery in the Heroes section. And the Heroes section is a section of Crown Hill Cemetery where many officers who've lost their lives in line of duty, their families have chosen to bury them there. Okay. So there's a lot of that's sacred ground to a law enforcement officer. And there's a memorial there, so we will have a closing ceremony there at 2:30. Mike Laird, Jake's father, is going to be our keynote speaker at the closing ceremony on that day, and that starts at 2:30 at Crown Hill Cemetery. And then we'll have announce how much money we raised on the bike ride this year. We'll do some photos. We'll recognize some other folks, and then we start taking some photos there at the cemetery. And then we close out the bike ride with one big photo at Lieutenant Gary Dudley's gravesite there at Crown Hill Cemetery. And
you have an interesting opening speaker or departing speaker also this year.
Yeah, not Jake Laird, Nick Schultz's football coach from Franklin College is going to be our keynote speaker this year on our departure. And he was very humbled when I asked him if he would mind speaking on behalf of Nick and law enforcement in general. Yeah. And so he's going to be up here on Monday and offer a few words of wisdom, and it'll be exciting to hear him talk.
Great. Well, Rich, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you being here. We run out of time for this show for Indiana State Police Roadshow, but thanks for coming in and good luck.
Thank you.
Hope it's a safe trip.
Thank you very much, Rich.
All right. Again, you've been listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance, Cops for Kids. We've been talking to Trooper Rich Crawford, who is representing the Cops Cycling for Survivors bicycle ride, which is going to kick off Monday, July 13. You can follow them on Facebook and see where their adventures take them throughout the state. Thanks for listening to The Road Show. We'll catch you again next week with a new show. Make sure that you buckle up when you're out there riding around the state. Road Show out.